This is CBS.
All is quiet at the main prison in Nashville tonight after the late afternoon stabbings that left a guard hurt and a prisoner in critical condition. We'll have details on those stories next on the news at 10 o'clock.
If you want to see the world go round, if you want to have the kind of fun that comes just once in every lifetime, if you want to see how history is being made in Tennessee, you've got to be there. The 1982 World's Fair, you've got to be there.
From Television 5, this is the news, weather, and sports at 10.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Chris Clark.
I'm Ruth Ann Leach. It's getting to be a sadly familiar story, violence inside a Tennessee prison.
And this time, a guard and an inmate were stabbed at the main prison here in Nashville. Both were taken to Baptist Hospital, where the inmate is in critical condition and the guard is listed as satisfactory. Phil Bell has a report.
The trouble began shortly before 5 o'clock this evening. Inmate Garland Best, serving time for aggravated rape, was the most seriously wounded.
He's got multiple wounds to the body, from the legs on up to the chest area.
The guard, Corporal Alvin Carter, was able to walk to the prison's front checkpoint after being stabbed in the abdomen, but may require surgery. The warden says the incident started with a disagreement between Best and his cellmate, convicted murderer Frederick Ratliff.
They'd gotten into an altercation, and he had stabbed his cellmate. Officer Carter and two other employees were responding to the situation, and when he arrived, this man stabbed Officer Carter one time.
Rose refused to allow reporters inside the prison, but says the stabbings occurred in cell block 3 on a walkway like this one, 3 tiers off the ground. The 8-inch homemade knife used in the stabbings was made of heavy metal and appeared to have been ground sharp with the machine. Ratliff is being held in the prison's maximum security section. Authorities here are still looking for a motive in the stabbings, but Warden Jim Rose says he feels this is an isolated case, not reflective of recent problems at Brushy Mountain Prison. Phil Bell, Television 5 Eyewitness News at the main prison in Nashville.
An inmate who has recently been transferred to Nashville's main prison from Brushy Mountain says the East Tennessee Penitentiary is a powder keg waiting to explode. Convicted murderer Thomas Winberry says that instead of 2 prisoners killed and 2 others wounded, next time could be worse. Larry Brenton reports.
For the past year, Thomas Winberry has been serving his 99-year sentence at Brushy Mountain Prison. That's because he tried to have a gun smuggled inside the main prison. Now he's back here, returned for his own safety because of death threats against him at Brushy. What's it like there?
Pure hell. That's no joke. I mean, you're in between 3 mountains. It's the last, like the officers told me when I first arrived there, February the 26th, 81, this is the last stop. Now you can either walk out of here a different person, or you can walk out of here dead, or you can leave out of here dead.
2 weeks ago, a group of white prisoners armed with knives and a gun sawed out of their cells, overpowered guards, and murdered 2 black prisoners and wounded 2 others. Winberry claims he had been told almost 3 months earlier that something like that was going to happen.
It was indicated that there was bad blood between some of those whites and blacks, and that there had to be some scores evened.
The prisoner says the problem originally wasn't racial, but it may be the next time. He says the blacks will retaliate, but not for a while, at least until security gets lax again. Then things, he says, could get worse.
The first officer that's hurt in the chaos, then there's going to be a lot of killings. Now, I heard this from the officers, personally.
So for now, Brushy Mountain Prison is still calm, but there's new bloodshed at the main prison, and officials are hoping that the violence here won't spread to East Tennessee. Larry Brenton, Television 5, Eyewitness News.
Nashville sheriff told a federal grand jury today what he knows about charges of a $4,000 payoff involving the Criminal Justice Center. The grand jury is focusing on a claim by Nashville architect John D. Kane. He says he gave a $4,000 check to Sam McPherson, Mayor Fulton's campaign manager at the time in the mid-'70s. Kane's company had the contract for the Justice Center, but eventually lost it. Sheriff Thomas says the grand jury was interested in a meeting that he and his former deputy, Buck McPherson, supposedly attended about 7 years ago. Thomas says there wasn't such a meeting, and he has no reason to suspect any wrongdoing involving the Criminal Justice Center.
They asked me, did I ever hear of any payoff? And I assured them if I had heard about it, I'd been the first one down there to tell them about it.
You had heard nothing like that?
No, and I hadn't heard anything about it.
Buck McPherson, Thomas's former deputy, is Sam McPherson's brother. Sources say neither Buck McPherson nor Sheriff Thomas are targets for the federal probe. The grand jury has been investigating for about 4 months now.
Metro government still hasn't filed those required annual reports on the city's pension funds for the last 4 years. But today, for the first time, they did release figures on how the 3 local banks who invest the funds have done. City officials also estimate Metro has seen an average 8.5% return on its pension funds over the last 4 years. Pat Nolan reports.
The figures released today show the 3 banks that each invest 1/3 of the pension funds varied greatly in the amount of return they got. Commerce Union Bank was the most consistent. First American was on a roller coaster, while Third National showed a steady rise. The overall 8.5% annual increase pleased Mayor Fulton, who pointed out the pension fund has grown from $37 to $79 million in the last 4 years.
I think that is a very significant increase, particularly when you consider that we have fewer employees now paying into that trust fund than we had in 1975.
But some may say in this time of high interest rates and money markets that an 8.5% return is not that great. They may also point out that a lot of the growth in pension funds has come not from investment growth, but from the growing annual contributions to the pension system from Metro and its employees. City officials do admit they plan to look at these figures hard to see if changes are needed.
Now, we would like to get some diversification, and we have talked about this. Getting somebody outside of Nashville as an investment investor also.
The 3 banks are doing a good job, but there's always room for another manager or maybe 2 more managers.
Cardwell says the city will have a better idea what to do after it gets solid percentage figures on the monthly and yearly returns of each bank. For that reason, the filing of the retired full pension reports for the last 4 years was put off again until next week. At that time, there should also be further information on Metro's portfolio, showing exactly where the pension money is invested. And perhaps that will also explain the wide fluctuation in earnings by the banks. Pat Nolan, Television 5, Eyewitness News.
An outside consulting firm today recommended that Nashville proceed with plans to build a 4-level, 550-space parking garage downtown. The garage would be located where the old jail is now and in the hole next to it, in which Metro originally planned to build the Criminal Justice Center. The cost, about $6.5 million. Consultants feel there is a need for additional parking, but city officials say the garage would be hard to finance with the economic hardships Metro is facing. So expect tough questioning if the proposal goes to the council.
Another narcotics charge has been entered against a Cross Plains, Tennessee doctor. O.W. Ramsey was arrested last May on a 29-count indictment. The new charge arose after the doctor allegedly wrote one more illegal prescription 6 months after his arrest on the other charges. Mike Roush has more.
81. Dr. O.W. Ramsey was originally arrested for overprescribing controlled substances, prescribing them to drug addicts, and doing so after he had lost his license. The arrest was made in May, but in November, the county district attorney says Ramsey wrote still another prescription, which turned up in Maryland. And today, in Robertson County Criminal Court, that charge was added to the 29 others.
We felt like that was sufficient enough of a situation to have him indicted.
To Ray Whitley, the district attorney, this extra charge will help his case, even though it has now meant an additional 5-month delay in the trial.
But I think that would add a lot to the state's proof to be able to prove that even after he was indicted, that he continued to write a prescription, particularly for 100 Dilaudid, because we have information from the Maryland authorities that 100 Dilaudid is worth $4,800 on the street.
Dilaudid, a narcotic more powerful than heroin, is just one of the drugs Ramsey is charged with illegally prescribing under the other indictments. His attorney, Jim Price, said today that the doctor's mental condition will be a significant part of his defense. Dr. Ramsey's trial is now set for July 21st, and it will certainly be a trial of major interest here in Robertson County. Mike Roush, Television 5 Eyewitness News, Springfield.
Strong and angry words from accused killer Wayne Williams during his third and final day on the witness stand. Williams, charged with killing 2 young blacks and implicated in the deaths of 10 others, called the prosecutor a fool. Williams also claimed the state doesn't have any information that he killed anyone. The prosecutor spent hours hammering at Williams' story. At some points he brought up led Williams to reply angrily, "What does that have to do with murdering anyone, man?" Later in the day, the defense rested its case, and after both sides present rebuttal testimony, final arguments will begin.
Coming up, Steve North and Tom Shriver campaign for district attorney face-to-face.
And President Reagan unveils his plans for saving Central America. Those stories and more when Ruth Ann and I return.
Look at her there.
Oh, do you remember that day?
You know, most long-distance telephone commercials look more or less like this. They try to get you to call someone by tugging at your heartstrings. Well, we're going to try to get you to call by tugging at your purse strings. You see, right now, because of the time of day it is, if you dial direct, it'll cost you less money. So why put off that call you've been meaning to make any longer?
It's called the Caribbean Basin Initiative, and it is President Reagan's new plan to deal with what he believes is severe trouble in Central America. He presented the multi-million-dollar aid package to the Organization of American States today. The president says it's a response to a threat.
Very simply, guerrillas armed and supported by and through Cuba are attempting to impose a Marxist-Leninist dictatorship on the people of El Salvador as part of a larger imperialistic plan. If we do not act promptly and decisively in defense of freedom, new Cubas will arise from the ruins of today's conflicts.
Mr. Reagan says we must respond to ensure that democracy has a chance in the region. Here's his response. Send about $350 million in economic aid to troubled El Salvador and 5 other countries to spark trade and new investment. Part 2, up to $60 million for military aid. That would be on top of the millions we are already planning to send to El Salvador. That country, its economy wrecked by 2 years of internal war, reacted very warmly to the idea. But America's Congress, being asked to make severe cuts at home, may not be willing to up the ante abroad. And with that, Congress is also being asked to increase home utility bills. Several representatives today blasted President Reagan's proposal that natural gas price controls be lifted. They say that if that proposal goes through, gas prices could double. The congressman said they will fight the president's deregulation bill because it could cost homeowners hundreds of dollars.
2 contenders in what may prove to be one of Metro's hottest political battles faced off today in a mini debate. The contenders are District Attorney General Tom Shriver and Circuit Court Judge Steve North, who wants Shriver's job. The 2 men disagreed on a number of issues today. They placed themselves on opposite sides of the death penalty question, with North saying that he has reservations about executing criminals.
The best deterrent to crime is swift, sure, and consistent punishment. The way that the law is now and the way it's administered now, the death penalty is neither swift, nor sure, nor consistent. And as such, we've had in Tennessee, there hadn't been anybody executed in 23 years.
As a deterrent, the statistical material is not very much available because you don't know how many people were deterred because of the presence of that law in the book. All you know is how many murders you had. I can say there has been every year an annual decrease in the number of murders in Davidson County since we reenacted the death penalty.
Shriver is viewed as a strong supporter of the death penalty. Even though North appeared to be saying he opposes the death penalty, he refused to say that he would never seek it if elected district attorney. Today, Governor Alexander announced his choice to replace Judge North when the judge resigns to run for district attorney. Attorney Rose Cantrell will be sworn in next Monday to complete North's term of office, which ends in August. Ms. Cantrell says she is ready to run for election to the circuit judgeship.
I hate it, but I had to break the winter coat back out tonight.
We all did.
Well, you know, the change from one season to another, it's just never straightforward, and the cold spells aren't quite as severe, and they get shorter and shorter, and the warm spells get longer and longer, and eventually it's spring. Have to go through a few convulsions.
Well, let's hope you're right that the warm weather is coming pretty soon. Ron House will have the weather coming up for us in just a minute. Stay with us.
If you are age 50 to 80 and thought it would be difficult to buy life insurance at your age, then you should call now for free information about a life insurance policy that is designed especially for people aged 50 to 80. Life insurance with no physical examination and no medical questions. Your acceptance is guaranteed regardless of your health. In fact, you cannot be turned down for any reason, and your premium will be $6.95 a month and will never increase. The Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company wants to send you this free information. So if you or someone you love is age 50 to 80, I urge you to call for it now before this offer comes to an end. Here's the number.
For free information in the mail, call 800-453-4000. This is a free call, 800-453-4000.
Ron Howe's weather is approved by the American Meteorological Society.
Well, a cold front moved through just after 12 noon today in the Nashville area, and since then it has been all downhill. Our statistics for today don't look too bad. 72 are high. That came between 12 and 1 o'clock. The low temperature, that's the current so far for the day, 41. The precipitation officially at Berryfield, about 1/10 of an inch as the showers and thunder showers move through, and the monthly heating energy usage now down to 4% above normal. In Nashville now we have 41 degrees, 76% the relative humidity. Winds are northerly at 16 miles an hour, gusting to 23 as the cold air comes in. And here's the way we look tonight across the region. Those northerly winds from 10 to 20 miles an hour, quite gusty, creating wind chill factors that look like this. 23 degrees in Nashville. Bowling Green, Kentucky, the wind chill is 13 degrees above zero. A far cry from yesterday's 82 degrees. Across the eastern half of the country, some pretty cold air, especially over the northern plains and the Great Lakes. Temperatures in the teens. More record highs today, however, along the Carolinas and even East Tennessee. Now we're still in the 60s in this region, as you can see, with a 69-degree reading this hour in Miami. The Arctic air is primarily up in Canada and the northern plains, and the polar jet stream right at the boundary of that real cold air is running to the north of us, and that should be pretty much the pattern for this week. So no extremely cold or long cold spells will affect us over the next 4 or 5 days. Looking now at satellite imagery, you'll see that at 4 o'clock, cloudiness over our area, and watch what happens to this cloud mass as we switch to an 8 o'clock picture. It's expanding to the northeast, and this system will put some high cloudiness during the day tomorrow into our area, but it doesn't look like it'll produce any precipitation for us. We did have a little bit today behind the cold front, and here's the way Weather Vision 5 radar recorded that. You can see mostly light to moderate activity, and by 8:30 it had all dissipated, but some new light rain is beginning to make its appearance felt in the western part of Texas ahead of that next weather system. Color scan 500 now. No precipitation indicated by radar anywhere in our area. Taking a look at the way the national map would look at this hour. Low pressure centers are to the east of us here in Virginia, and also in a couple of lows back out over the Rockies and the Plateau region. Still some snow falling from the Great Lakes on to the east, and some showers, as you saw, developing in West Texas. Rain with snow at higher elevations out over the southwest. Tomorrow morning's weather map, more high pressure for us. Should be a partly cloudy but rather chilly day. The rain that'll be spreading eastward from this weather system, it looks like it'll all pass to the south of us, with a chance for rain mainly through Mississippi and Alabama and that area on Friday morning as a low pressure wave develops down in the Gulf of Mexico. Temperatures around the nation look like this for tomorrow. 70s only in the southwest and Florida, with 50-degree readings possibly in East Tennessee. We'll be in the 40s, and a good portion of the nation will be back into the chilly weather with 30s, 20s, and even some teens along the northern tier of states for tomorrow. Our forecast for tonight, cloudy and colder with a low temperature of about 33 by morning. Northerly winds at 10 to 20 and gusty. Tomorrow the winds will calm down, but it'll be cold, partly cloudy and a high of 45. A low tomorrow night down to 26. Then for Friday, cloudy, still on the chilly side, a high of 47. And then Saturday through Monday, a chance of rain developing late Sunday or Monday, but highs for the weekend back in to the 50s. We're talking about highs in the upper 40s. Not too long ago, we would have been glad for that. And we'll be back with more news in just a minute.
Now get up to $2,000 from Lincoln Mercury. Get a $2,000 introductory cash bonus on Continentals, $750 on Capris, $750 on Cougar, $750 on Zephyr. And here's another offer. On Lynx and LN7, you save coming and going. A 5% cash bonus off the base sticker price, plus a 2-year free warranty and 2 years free scheduled maintenance. See your Lincoln Mercury dealer for a program with the broadest range and variety in the business. America's coming to the cats for affordable value.
The NAACP held its 11th annual Freedom Fund banquet tonight at the Marriott Hotel. About 800 people turned out to hear Athenia Simmons. She's the organization's chief lobbyist in Washington. Those honored were past civil rights leaders, as well as the Nashville NAACP chapter for fostering better relations within the community. The fundraiser is expected to raise several $1,000s.
You didn't get to stay. You had to come here.
Did not. I just finished my salad and ran right back.
He's here to hear Bill Swanbeck, who says it's been a big night for Vandy and Hutch Jones, and Bill will have details on that.
And we'll also have details on the home finale for TSU, all coming up on sports, so you stay with us. We'll be back.
Which of these two great dishwashers is best, KitchenAid or Maytag? Compare. Maytag uses less energy. Maytag has more water action from more directions. Maytag has more cleaning jets, 55, not just 23. Result? Maytag gets your dishes cleaner in the cycle recommended for tough daily loads. KitchenAid or Maytag? The facts say, look into a Maytag.
Save $25 at Appliance Sales, 8th Avenue South, and Sewell Electric in Franklin.
Now you can grow corn where it was almost impossible before. With Eradicane herbicide. It controls Johnson grass, wild cane, nutsedge, giant foxtail, and many more. Because Eradicane has the extra strength to control the toughest weeds in corn. Where tough weeds have kept you from growing corn the way you want to grow corn, use Eradicane and grow corn where it was almost impossible before. Eradicane for the toughest weeds in corn.
Last year, NES residential customers consumed over 3 billion kilowatt hours of electric power. About 28% of this could have been saved through proper home conservation. Like you, we are very much concerned with the rising cost of electricity. That is why NES sponsors a free home energy survey that shows you ways to save energy and money. The home energy survey is your first step to savings. All it takes is a phone call.
There's only one way to fly, and that's your way. And when it's your day to fly, come along. Ozark flies your way. Ozark flies your way. Ozark flies your way.
Ozark takes off for St. Louis twice a day, non-stop, with a super coach fare of just $69. No fares for the kids, too.
We're flying just for you. When you fly, Ozark flies your way.
And as advertised, here's Bill.
With news on Vandy.
Senior Hutch Jones had his biggest scoring night ever. Of course, he comes from your hometown of Buffalo, New York.
I didn't know that.
That's right. So, contrary to popular belief, there are good things that come out of that city.
I think you better do the sports.
Moving right along.
The city of Buffalo did not stop with Ruth Ann Leach. It also produced Willie Hutch Jones. And tonight, the Vandy seniors scored a career-high 32 points to lead Vanderbilt over Florida 81-67. Vandy is now 6-11 and tied with Auburn for 7th place in league. And on the phone with us right now from Gainesville is Willie Hutch Jones. And
Hutch, 32 points for you tonight, a big win for Vandy, and things have to be pretty happy in Gainesville right now.
Yes, you know, the general attitude of the team is, you know, everybody's spirit is up real well, and, you know, we're just glad that we went down here and pulled this victory out. That's the main concern.
Hutch, the team led by 5 at half, and you moved out to a 19-point lead in the second half. What happened there against the Gators?
Well, you know, I think it came from halftime because, you know, Coach Newton, he kind of went off on a few of the players, one of them being myself, you know, at halftime. He kind of got us riled up, and I came out, you know, very hot in the second half, and I just took the ball to the rest of the game, and we just stuck together, and we played like a veteran team, and, you know, eventually we just blew them out the gym.
So now, Hutch, One league game to go. Alabama at home Saturday. If you beat them, you'll finish in 7th place, and you would play probably Florida in the first round of the tournament, and that has to be a good situation for Vandy.
Right. Well, you know, I'm not really looking so much as far as where we're going to end up, you know, if we win or lose this game, but I just really want to win this game because it's going to be like my last appearance in Memorial Gym, along with another senior, John Derenbecker. And also, you know, I want to win the last home game. It's going to mean a lot to me and to the team. You know, and a lot of the guys on the team already came by and told me, Hutch, we want you to get off this game, and, you know, we want to win this game so that we can go into the tournament. Because if we do play Florida, from what I hear, if we could beat Florida in the tournament again, that means we will play Tennessee again. You know, that's the game I'm really wanting, you know, get involved with, is Tennessee, because, you know, I felt that it was a bad call, you know, a missed call more like at the end of that Tennessee game. You know, so I'll be really up for it. And then, too, this is like the last few games of my college career, so
Hutch?
it means something to me, too.
Okay, thanks for talking with us, and great game. We'll see you around town tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, Willie Hutch
Jones of Vandy. Yes, it was the final home game for 4 Tennessee State basketball players, and it was senior Larry Wilson who was a big difference tonight for Big Blue in their game with Bethune-Cookman. TSU was taking on a team from Florida, and the team from Florida put them to the test right away. Jarvis Smith scores here, and later he slams in the big jammer, 14-2 Bethune. But the TSU gang woke up. Wilson to Cross, 2 are on their way. Cross wound up with 23 on the night. Watch some defense. Watch the man they call Skywalker. Larry Wilson, the big rejection. Later on, Larry with some offense. He floats in 2 points here. He wound up with 19 in his Gentry Center finale. Later on, Carlos Jones misses, but watch the circus shot by Cross underneath. How about that one? Yes, folks, he's only a freshman. 3 more years of Cross at TSU. And when Wilson hammers home another one, TSU went on to win it 70-68 in favor of Big Blue. Quickly now, scores. Vandy and Tennessee, or rather, look at that. Tennessee lost to Georgia 64-63. Other scores, Kentucky won, so now they're tied with Tennessee for first place. Alabama over Auburn. LSU defeated Mississippi. Other scores, Virginia winner. North Carolina won. DePaul over Furman by 1. Missouri lost to Kansas State. And as we saw, Tennessee State a winner. And yes, Wayne Gretzky did break the single-season scoring mark. He scored 3 goals, 2 assists.
Folks in Buffalo are very accommodating, and they'll let champions score. We'll be back in just a minute.
What you doing?
Fresh homemade biscuits.
Homegrown
strawberries.
Is this a bribe?
How about some fresh homemade cookies?
I can be bought.
Hot apple pie.
I'm sold.
And the hometown fresh taste of Kroger milk.
Funny, that's just what I was thinking.
Well, you know, nothing goes with something from home like hometown fresh Kroger milk.
Honey, what's for dessert?
For you, the dishes.
Oh.
Kroger brand dairy products. Hometown fresh at your hometown Kroger store.
Taxi! I'm Brewster. I was the best salesman I ever had.
Great. I've got my own company and sales are really climbing.
Want to guess how?
Since Bell repriced 800 service for small businesses, we've opened new markets all over. They see our toll-free number, they call, and we've got a new customer.
Sound familiar?
As part of our telemarketing program, 800 service brings down the cost of selling.
Taught him everything he knows. I care.
Get 800 service working for your business. Call our 800 number today.
Hi, I'm Janine Lee. We all like to enjoy life, but without good health, it may not be easy to do. Lentz Health Center will be a part of the Channel 5 Health Fair on March 31st through April the 2nd. Learning centers, educational exhibits, and free medical screenings are just some of the things that will be offered. So bring your friends, neighbors, and family to the Channel 5 Health Fair at Lentz Health Center. We'll be looking for you.
It's time to shape up or ship out. And remember, at the Channel 5 Health Fair, everybody benefits.
When a child is born with a heart defect, it's a helpless feeling for the parents. But we're lucky to have people who can help right here in Tennessee, like Dr. Mark Parrish, who's looking for ways to give those children a fighting chance through his research. Hi, I'm Jim Ed Brown, and I'm glad that we have people like Dr. Parrish working here in Tennessee. And I'm glad the American Heart Association helps support his research. So give generously. The heart of Tennessee needs you.
On our Wednesday nightcap, the budget battle continues on Capitol Hill. Many of the president's men testified on reasons for big cuts in social programs and big increases in military spending. Some hints today that the Reagan people may be willing to compromise on the overall budget plan. Car sales by America's big automakers were up 2% for the first part of February compared with last year. Only Chrysler's sales dropped. More uppers, less pot. That is the finding of a study of America's teenagers. Teens are said to be smoking less marijuana, but more of the kids are using pills.
And lest there be any confusion about it, the game, Ole Miss 74, LSU 61, Ole Miss winning that over LSU, okay?
Gosh, I'd have stayed up all night to get to hear that.
You were worried about it, I could tell. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 and 10, everybody. Have a nice night and a good tomorrow.
He's my man. He's so fine and dear. I treat him right with his favorite beer.
Bull, bull. Girls, let me turn you on to the big bull, bull. When sip will make it clear, the bull's got more taste than beer.
You big bad bull.
So good it's bad. It's the Schlitz malt maker bull. No one does it like the bull. No one does it like the bull.
My wife has reached quite a low cholesterol cheese product. Golden Image imitation cheese from Kraft with lower cholesterol than regular cheese. And you know what? It's one of the most delicious parts of my low-fat, low-cholesterol diet. That's because Golden Image is made with golden corn oil. And look, chunks as well as slices. Golden Image from Kraft with 70% less cholesterol. It's quite a low, and I love it.
Stay tuned for Sanford and Son, next on Television 5.